Hello and welcome to the Corporate Escapists TV show. I'm your host, Christine Innes. I'm super excited to have this beautiful woman come and join me again, Angela Henderson. For those who don't know or who haven't watched the previous episode, go ahead and do that. I'll put the links below. She is an international award-winning business coach, an international speaker, a podcast host. The list is endless. Thank you so much for joining me again. Lovely. I'm so excited.
It is always an honor to be here. So yes, super excited to talk today about so many awesome things.
Yeah. Look, we had a quick chat before and, we could talk about many different sort of subjects, but I've said before that I super stalk you because I really love, obviously, your passion and energy. And one of the things that really sets me, that really lights me up when I talk to you is the fact that you are so in line with obviously your values. You have a list of values on your website, but in addition to that, you are so authentic. And I think that when we, have a conversation about people who go into business, and one thing that I feel that, I needed to obviously have was a set of values, something that I lived and breathed and could really stand behind, because it also helped me with obviously my mission statement, who I wanted to go through, really to actually find out, what is actually my passion as well, to make sure they're all aligned with that. How do you feel about, I know that was a lot to sort of take in, but how do you feel about all of that?
I mean, listen, I think, again, for those that are currently in the corporate job, they'll understand that, again, there's a set of rules and regulations that corporate world has, and those rules and regulations have to be followed accordingly in order for business to be ran smoothly, in order for people to understand where they start and where they finish, in order to make sure that those boundaries are there, in order to repel those employees, in order to attract others. And I think it's the same as when you roll into and start your own business. Is I think it's super important really to look at your own core personal values to start with, because those can be slightly different, do you know what I mean, to your core business or company values. But I also think that, again, one of the exercises I have to do with my own one-on-one coaching clients or my group coaching clients is that we do a values exercise, and from that we also look at really about what is bringing people joy. Because if you are lacking joy already in your life and you think that your business is going to just be something that can replace that, well, you're setting yourself up for huge failure. And if you don't understand your values, then it's going to be really hard to understand, are you staying true to what that joy is and why you're going into business? So your values and understanding that is really going to be the foundational framework that you need to start solidifying, again, your business model, your business company, your business products, your services, because all of that should really, truly try and be in alignment with what those core values are for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important because, your values can actually change over time, because as you grow and evolve as a person, you will actually find that your business is going to grow and evolve as well. So, I mean, I look like I've only been in business like 18 months, but that's already changed so dramatically. So I also needed to make sure that are my values still in alignment? But also too, is also what you said, what's actually bringing you joy? Is that still bringing me joy in my business? Because one of the reasons why we leave corporate or we leave our job or to go start a business is because we loved what we're doing. So, you need to make sure that they're still in alignment, because you still want to be happy and you don't want to feel that dreaded feeling like, oh my God, here we go again.
100%. So I totally agree that whether or not you're in corporate or whether or not you're looking at starting your own business is, again, so often we get lost in the rat race of everything being so busy and go, go, go that people start to lose themselves. And so, again, I think an easy way to reconnect with yourself and what you stand for and where you want your future to go, regardless of that's still working in a corporate role or regardless of that's, working in your own business, is really going back to what sparks you, what brings you joy, and in your values. So, I think it's imperative. I think, again, though, in the infancy stages of business, including myself, I always had things written down about what my values were, and I had my mission statement and things like that. But it wasn't something that, again, I really posted a lot about on my website or anything. It's only just been the last 8 months that we've rehashed the website at angelahenderson.com.au and really done that, because the About page is the second most viewed page on the majority of all business platforms. And so making sure that About page is giving my audience, repelling those and attracting others. And I think there's, really 5 or 6 core things that come from understanding your values, especially if you're kind of looking at going into business. And, those things are, like I said, you start to repel people, one, and you start to attract the other people. And also to give yourself permission that it's okay that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. You don't need people in your space that aren't going to lift you up. And so the sooner you can actually understand your values and start to repel those people and attract others, it's actually going to be a benefit. Two, it's also helped with my hiring process. Being able to talk to people about what my core values are, lead them to my about page over on my website, allows me to screen people, and it allows them to screen me equally. So it helps finding the right people to fit within your organizational structure. Another thing that I talk about is when you collaborate with people, understanding what their core values are equally with what yours are, and is that a marry up? And for example, is I run Australia's leading 4-day, 3-night women in business retreat. So when I look at the speakers that I'm bringing on board, and every year we sell out, is I need to make sure that the speakers are going to fit my values, and that their values are going to complement the other people's values, because again, ultimately we all are sharing very similar values in that space. All right. So again, being able to understand the benefits of knowing your values will help you to also understand who you collaborate with and who you don't collaborate with. Also, a big piece that I think people forget about, and it's only when they have the aha moment when they actually do their values, is that content creation can be so hard for people, whether or not that's producing a podcast, producing a magazine, producing your social media captions on Instagram. Is once you understand your core values, you're going to equally be able to understand what type of content you create, because the creation of that content is going to just flow quite naturally because you understand what those values are. I also think it's important that people don't realize is that once you understand your values, the brand voice, all right, and branding is not just a logo or your colors or your fonts. Brand is so much more than that. It's the experience that people get, etc. But one of the things is, once you know your values, it's also going to be easier for you to start to articulate a part of your brand, which is your brand voice. And that will just start to, naturally come out. And so, so those are some of the reasons why I think that, again, if you can start to incorporate and understand your values, the benefits you're going to see for your business and the growth will go much quicker than those who don't understand those values.
Yeah, I really like one of the big things that I teach my clients, obviously, in the life coaching side of things, is the importance of values. Because what I noticed myself, especially when I left corporate, is that my values were my job's values.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have any values for myself. So I literally looked at it in a fact that if I don't stand for anything, I'm going to fall for everything. And it really changed like my whole entire life. And, it's one of the things that the key things, I mean, I would say that we spend 2 to 3 sessions, going over just values, because it is so important, and it will set you up for success, not only in life, but also in business as well, when you know what you are actually there to stand for. I really did like when you said about the attracting and the repelling, because as somebody, when I was new in business, I didn't really understand that, because I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted everyone to work with me. I wanted, all of the clients. But it also made me realize is that bringing on the people that are going to be aligned to my values, but people that I do want to work with, I know that you're going to give them the best level of success, because they're the people that are going to be invested. They're the people who are actually going to want to do the work. So I think that's a really key thing that you touched on, is the repelling and the attracting with working with people.
Yeah, no, I think it's imperative for people to be able to do that. And the sooner that you can understand that not everyone is going to like you, that the reality of it is as soon as you wake up in the morning and you walk outside, you're judging people just as much as they're judging you, whether or not you consciously are aware of it or unconsciously aware of it. The reality of it is judgment is happening everywhere. So again, your values though, just help to solidify you, help to keep you stable, help to guide you again. And then those values then turn into your mission statement, right? And again, it's about what impact are you going to have on those clients and those customers that you're working with. And, it might be, okay, I also look at business in kind of 3 stages. You've got your initial infancy stage, you've got your growth stage, and you got your scale phase. And again, your values and your mission will help to guide you and speed you up or potentially slow you down too. So I think, again, it's super important. The sooner you can understand your values, which then link to your mission statement, the beauty about it is you're going to have a beautiful world of people that are equally going to be on the same page as you.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about before about obviously the screening process with people working with you. Like how much, you know, if you looked at sort of the start of your business to where you are now, of like the different sort of, I guess, screening methods, but also incorporating those values, has that actually made a big impact to you?
I mean, I think yes and no. I think more so probably for the hiring of people, but I think for me personally is around the people who I'm going to work with and who want to work with me. So I've got no problems saying the F word, you know, like I drop it fairly easily and lightheartedly. But again, and that's just part of me is like, I'm about having fun, and fun for me is, you know, I mean, also like sometimes the language comes out. So again, you either like it or you don't, but I'll speak to someone like not in a derogatory way by any means, but I'll be like, hey, that's freaking awesome, or that's so cool, right? Some people that can be overbearing, and that's okay. So I stick to, you know, I'm wearing a hoodie right now. I will show up in a discovery call in a hoodie. If you don't like me in a hoodie, well, this is how I'm going to show up, right? So this is part of my values, is that you see me, you get me for what I am, right?
Yeah.
And so I also think, again, for me though, is that I've gotten tighter when I'm screening people I'm working with, because, and I give certain scenarios out to people, you know, so that helps me to see not only about their values, but also about their mindset. Because again, if you're solid on your values, typically I've seen a direct correlation that people have a stronger mindset. Where you don't understand your values and you don't understand the joy, and there's all this confusion and overwhelm and unclarity, again, typically, again, that overwhelm is creeping into a fixed mindset also. So I'm not saying I never work with people who have solid fixed mindsets, but the reality of it is that they have to be prepared to do the work, to show up and do all of that. But again, it's yeah. So yeah, I definitely screen people differently now than when I first started.
Yeah, no, I look, and as I've like started to grow the business, you know, and obviously collaborations are big, and really they have to have the same, you know, similar values with me. I'm not saying you have to have the same, like everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, you know, you want to be in some sort of alignment with one another, because how I show up, and, you know, you see like show up in a hoodie, like you will only find me in jeans. Like that's my work attire now, because that's who I am. And I would never want to put on a corporate suit ever again. So,
Yep,
you know, I will
totally.
go to meetings in jeans, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a t-shirt, you know, because
Yeah.
that is who I am. And I
Yeah.
think that, you know, part of the values that I have is being authentic. And I think that you're very same, like, because this is who we are. We will swear, and, you know, I will drop the F-bomb too. Like, and I will, you know, say things, I will share my personal stories to make an impact with it. And if people are going to obviously pass judgment, is also because that they don't see the value add in it. They're even maybe closed off. They don't understand that, you know, I'm sharing this for them to actually have an understanding of what I've been through and how I've learnt from it as well.
100%. And it's just so, the magic and the growth that can happen from individuals that truly understand where their values are and what lights them up, do you know what I mean, is just a ripple effect both in life and in business. It truly, truly is.
Yeah. And I really love the fact that, you know, with, you know, I know that you know, we're both coaches and we do it in different, you know, areas, but it's so interesting to me that values are so key. And it is in life and in business. So no matter where you want to go, and you said about the ripple effect, because I believe the ripple effect is, it goes out wider, like it goes, you know, to my family, to my friends, because they see that growth within yourself. And that is just such a beautiful thing. And it's something that is not tangible, because you will never be able to pay for that type of growth.
No, it isn't. It's a growth that just happens. Sometimes it can happen almost in an invisible light, right? But the growth is always happening underneath that surface, in that unconscious, you know what I mean, area. You know, potentially also showing up times where it challenges you, right? Again, it's something. I was speaking with Amber McHugh yesterday on my own podcast, and we were talking about, you know, when you go through different levels of growth, you can also have different stories and beliefs that you thought were resolved and fixed. But again, they're surfacing again. And we're talking about the importance of, well, why is that bubbling? Why is that festering? What's going on? I was talking to another, we have a peer mastermind, another lady in the US today, and we were talking about the importance of boundaries too, right? Is that, again, I think another element of when you have solid values and you understand what they stand for, is your boundaries equally become, do you know what I mean, quite, rigid's not the right word, but you're firm, and those boundaries help guide you in decision-making processes, etc. So again, there's just so many positives that can come from being able to understand what your core values are and what that looks like.
Yeah. And I mean, I could talk about this all day because it really was the key thing that changed my life. Like when I hit complete rock bottom, because I had nothing. And that, okay, I lost all of my assets. My marriage was gone, like all that sort of stuff. But when you rebuild your life back, and when I align it back to when I started my business, is that having those values, nobody can take that away from me because they are mine and I own them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, and I think there's something to be said about the empowerment of being able to have those, and that ownership and a responsibility that goes with them too, right? I think it's also great to be able to use it as a check and balance. Am I being kind? Am I being fun? Am I doing this? What's missing? Also, we've just started incorporating our values into our team meetings so that people understand what are the values. Are we injecting them? Are we not? What does that look like? So, I think there's different ways that you can continue to infuse your values, in different areas in order to make sure that, again, you're remaining true to yourself. And like you said, being responsible for those and utilizing those to be empowered.
Yeah. I love it that you're saying that you're putting that into your team meetings, because I remember back in my corporate days that, I would do something similar, but I didn't really make the connection back then. I was leading a team of, I think I had about 12, 15 people, but, we would go around the tables, talk about, where everybody was at. But then when I've left, that's when I actually realized, okay, we were talking about our values. We were actually making sure that we were in alignment, because regardless of where you are at, whether or not you're in corporate, whether or not you're working for yourself, you do need to have a check-in with yourself. You need to check in with yourself, but you also need to check in with others, because holding yourself accountable, and if you're not leading by example, then people will pick up on that. And that, for me, being authentic and making sure that I am being who I am, people will call me out going, well, that's not what you're saying, Christine. You're not practicing what you preach. I'm like, you're right.
Yep. And I also think too, again, it's so early in the infancy stages when I work with my business clients, as we'll still go through this exercise and we'll go through it all. But sometimes it's also about planting the seed, because sometimes businesses, especially in infancy, you're just wondering how you're paying the next bill. When is this going on? When is that going on? So I also think, again, it's important to talk about values in the different stages that they can come into, depending on where you're at. So like when you use that example about being in corporate and not understanding it, right? You're like, oh, we're just doing this and why? And then all of a sudden having that moment where you're like, okay, actually now I get it. It's the same type of thing as values. Again, once you have those core understanding, they'll still always be there. But sometimes, again, it's being able to have that check-in and that check-out, that checks and balances, really, to make sure that, again, you're staying true. People, again, are, calling you out also if necessary. But yeah, no, so valid.
Yeah. I mean, I love a little bit of woo-woo and all that sort of stuff. And it was interesting because even my son said to me, he goes, oh, Mum, like, you talk about it, but I don't see you doing it. I said, because, I don't want to, I don't push it in front of everybody. But it's also too, like, part of me was like, oh, well, I really am actually hiding that from it. And that wasn't really allowing that sort of authentic part of me, which is really part of me. My values is being authentic. And I'm like going, wow, I just got called out by my son. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But it is too, do you know what I mean? It's like easy questions to ask yourself. What am I hiding? What could I be sharing? All in a professional and boundary setting way. But what does that look like? What is that stopping me? And normally it's fear and judgment that are stopping people. But again, the more you can stay true to your values, the fear and judgment slowly, and little by little will start to go away, because you're empowering yourself to really step into you and what you stand for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I really, like I said, I really do appreciate you taking your time out to come onto the show and to share your wisdom. And I really do thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing that.
Gosh, no worries at all. Like I said, it's not a lengthy, I mean, again, we could talk about it, but I think, again, the core things we talked about is the importance of making sure that we understand what our core values are, what our joy is, how is that linking us to our mission, but equally those benefits that come from understanding, you know, you're going to be able to set boundaries, you're going to be able to hire people better, you're going to be able to have really great content creation, you're going to be able to know that, and kind of follow through with your brand voice. I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to think, again, repelling and attracting those people, right? So again, the sooner that you can have it, the easier things are going to become. It also helps to solidify, I believe, your credibility, your authority, and your trustworthiness when people can go to an about page and understand, oh, this is what their values are, this is what their mission is. Yeah. So again, I just think there's so many benefits that come from it that businesses and individuals would be silly not to be mapping this out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In your life and business, it is essential. And I've lived and breathed it, and I know the difference that it's made in my life just by adding in the values, but then obviously incorporating that into my business. It really has propelled my business even more because I'm now attracting those like-minded people. And I'm a big thing about, you know, the energy and all that sort of stuff. But
100%.
yeah, what I've putting out, because they're the people, and I get amazing women like you who come on the show to, you know, really speak their truth. So one of the things that I would love for you to do is to share, because you run a really incredible 4-day event. So do you want to speak to people a little bit? Because I think you said that there's some still opportunities for people to get on board for your next retreat.
So I run Australia's leading 4-day, 3-night women in business retreat. It's held at the Gold Coast. This year's keynote speaker is Denise Duffield-Thomas. She's an amazing individual. If you don't already follow Denise, I'd strongly suggest you do. We've got Cherie coming from the Digital Picnic, a dear friend of mine, Zach Spuckler. We're flying in from the US, and a variety of other amazing humans are going to be there. And because it is a small group and it's an exclusive group, as in that we only sell 50 tickets per the event in order to make sure it's intimate and small, we do have tickets are already 50% sold out. So yes, so the event is being held on November 5th through November 8th. We do have payment plans available so that people have the opportunity to still have the cash flow they need for day-to-day business while still being able to access the tools and resources they need to grow their business. And yes, if you're wanting to learn more about what that, it's like I said, it's all about connection, refocusing, learning, and growing so that people have an opportunity to get sleep, eat really great food, connect with people, but still grow their business and grow themselves. So, yeah, so they can secure a ticket at www.angelahenderson.com.au and just click on the retreat button. So yes.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to put all the links to your site so people will be able to get in touch with you. And honestly, anybody who is thinking of going into business or in business but just don't know the right steps, please make sure you reach out to Angela, because she is just incredible and just the wealth of knowledge. Because what I really do admire is that you're the coach who has actually done it. You know, you've got the proof there, and that's what I really love, because you know, there's a lot of coaches out there, but for me, I'm a big believer that if you've gone through it and you've done it, that you can give so much more insight opposed to textbook. And I know
or just taking a coaching degree off the back of a cereal box. You know, that would be a whole nother podcast episode.
Yes,
but yes, definitely. No, absolutely. 10 years of being in business, you know, and I mean, the thing that I say is you don't plant the seed and eat the fruit on the same day, right? So it's 10 years of learning, 10 years of masterminding, 10 years of connection making, you know, tears, whatever. But running 2 successful businesses, I'm confident, you know what I mean, that, I've got the knowledge now. I wouldn't have been doing coaching when I first started, right? But there's a lot of people who will take a cereal box, 2-minute course, call themselves a coach. And I see these women, they call me every single day, you know, every single week, crying because they spent tens of thousands of dollars on people who were frauds. So that's a whole nother conversation, but I'm not one of them. So yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. So thank you again so much for coming on and sharing. And as I said, I'm going to put all the links below that people will be able to reach out to you and get in touch with you. A big thank you again for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
No worries. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And here's to, people learning their values.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. I am your host, Christine Innes, and remember to live life to the fullest with passion and love and abundance. And just remember that you are worthy. So love and light to you all.